guys. Happy Friday. Split personality. Let's talk about it. Jesus, coffee. So I want to talk about split personality. So, do we understand what we do? Like, when we decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to go back to the gym and I want to work out and I want to eat right, WWJD bracelet. Do we understand why we do what we do? Do we find ourselves going back to old habits? Like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym, and you go to the gym steadily for like 2-3 weeks, and then all of a sudden you start to fall off, and then all of a sudden you've just fallen off altogether. Or maybe you're changing your eating habits and you're doing great, and then all of a sudden you revert and fall off. Do we understand why we do that? I want to get into a passage here. It's Romans 7, verse 15. I want to get into this, and I want to. This is Paul in his letter to Rome. I want you to see what Paul's dealing with here, and I don't think it's very different than what we deal with today. And then we'll break it down. For what I am doing, I do not understand. For what I will to do, that I do not practice. But what I hate, that I do. What? What, Paul? What did you say? For what I am doing, I do not understand. For what I will to do, that I do not practice. But what I hate, that I do. Wow. Like, what's he saying there? I mean, one, Paul doesn't approve of what he's doing. Now, specifically, he's talking about the spiritual things that are affecting his intimate relationship with the Lord. He doesn't understand why he's doing the things that he's doing. The things that he wills to do, which are the things and maybe the habits and the things that he wants to do, he's not doing. But the things that he hates is what he is doing. No different than us. Paul then isn't any different than we are today. He's a sinner. Which is why he goes on and ultimately in his letters calls himself the chief of all sinners. Good morning, Janice. So what Paul wants to do is what he doesn't do. Instead, he does the things that he doesn't want to do. Let's put this into a easy to read version. Paul is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in this moment. He's split personality. Right? So I want you to notice something in that verse. Paul is taking a heavy dose of vitamin I. What do I mean by that? Good morning. Good morning, Brenda. Paul actually uses I 6 times in that one verse. 6 times. I. Are we doing anything? It's not I. So allow me to kind of uncover and reveal the whole picture here. We can't achieve God's holiness, His righteousness, or His goodness on our own. We can't. That's not what we do in our fallen, sinful nature. We can't do it. We can't get across that chasm that exists between God and us on our own power. I don't care how good you think you are, how righteous you think you are, you're not getting across there on your own. Your works can't get you across that chasm. We only do what we get to do because of grace. Learn that word. Live that word. Love that word. Grace. We get to do what we do because of the blood of Christ. It's not us. It's not Jim. Jim's not doing anything. Jim gets to do what the Father wills Jim to do. You with me? And you get some Christian counselors that like to focus the attention on self for their counselees. It's not self, guys. I'm no longer a manipulator, a liar, a cheater, an adulterer, a womanizer because of anything I did. The most important part of what I did was, I can't do this, Lord. I can't do this. You can do it. I can't. Submission. That's the part of that I took place in. That was my role in that. Was I submitted to Him, telling Him, I can't do it. I'm looking at this chasm and I'm not Evel Knievel. Not happening. Let's look at a more fitting verse for our human state, our human nature, what should be more focused on. And I'm not saying this is a bad verse, guys. I'm just using this verse as an example of what Paul dealt with and what we deal with. Okay? So let's focus on a different verse to kind of wrap things up. That's a more fitting verse for dealing with our fallen, sinful human nature. It's Galatians 2:20. For I have been crucified, the only I in there, for I have been crucified with Christ. Bye-bye, Jim. Bye-bye, old Jim. For I have been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who lives, but Christ lives in me. And now the life I live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave Himself up for me. Who loved Jim and gave Himself up for Jim. Who loved Janice and gave Himself up for Janice. Insert your name in that verse and tell me that verse doesn't, tell me when you personalize that verse, doesn't hit home. It's not us, it's Him. He's the one that gets us from there to there. From being separated to being together. I say this a lot and it blows my mind. And I don't know if it's anything you've ever thought about, but only Jesus can break chains and unlock cells with blood. Only Jesus can take somebody who's nasty and filthy and dirty and drench them in blood and make them whiter than snow. Only Jesus can do that. It's not Jim. It wasn't my blood that breaks chains. It's not my blood that released you from your cell. It's his blood. It's the blood he spilled at Calvary. When while on the cross in excruciating pain, he uttered the words, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And in his final words, in his final breath, he uttered, "It is finished." 300 biblical prophecies all fulfilled with his final breath. I don't know. What blows my mind isn't that people don't know him, it's that people aren't in love with him. People don't want to run to him. I saw him after 45 years of blindness, and I couldn't run fast enough. Stop living life apart from him. Live life in him. It's the best place to be. Secure your eternity. Be a knee that bows and a tongue that confesses joyfully, not sorrowfully. Because every knee will bow, every tongue will confess Jesus is Lord. Some are going to do it joyfully, some are going to do it sorrowfully. Don't be one of the ones that's doing it sorrowfully. Whoops, that was real. Don't find out. I love you guys. We're off, but we have a work meeting. Yay! We'll be back Monday with whatever Dad wants to talk about. He loves you like crazy. You guys have a blessed weekend. Good morning, lovelies. Happy Friday. Split personality. Let's talk about it. Jesus, coffee.